hold conversation with us on this very important topic. And much later in the course of the program, we'll divert our attention to the NAD protests, abduction of Ghanaian and Benue medical students. We'll be joined by Dr. Fane Ndogo, President, Association of Resident Doctors, FMC Makudi. But in the meantime, let's focus our attention on food crisis, the possibility of it worsening, especially with this flood, or what some people call even the droughts that they experience, because there was so much hope, Stephen, at the initial stage of this cropping season, that yes, finally the issue of food insecurity or food shortage will be a thing of the past. Seeing that the rain came quite heavily and farmers rejoiced about it, as their products in the farm was doing quite fine until the very much unexpected drought stepped in and many people's crop dried off. It affected even the rice productions. But now the rain seems to be back, at least in some states of Nigeria, and it's quite heavy, coming with flood along the way as well.
You see, everything in nature is timed and is in a cycle. So also is farming, agriculture, cropping season, and everything. This is why people go extra miles to do what is called farm irrigation. The essence of irrigation is that thing nature is unable to provide, because it is in a cycle. Man comes in and takes over, so that there will be productivity, sustained productivity of food crops. Now the issue here is that the rain is intermittent. Intermittent here is want of words. Intermittent here because it came heavily, it disappeared. You understand? And this is not what we're used to. So you cannot stop nature from being itself, but you should be able to step in where nature nature cannot provide. And you see, we're talking about climate change. Climate change. The implication of climate change here is that it is going to alter what we used to know. And because it's going to alter what we used to know, it is our job, it is our responsibility, in order to keep humanity alive, to step in and do what is needed.
If we are going to prioritize agriculture in this part of the world, then it's very important that we do not leave everything to chance. We take our own fate in our own hands, or destiny in our own hands, and begin to see how we won't just rely strictly on the indecisiveness of the climate change or the weather or predictions, but then we'll be prepared, and more proactive in terms of how we handle our cropping businesses. But we sincerely wish all the farmers out there well. We wish everybody well, because we are all banking on the next cropping season, or this cropping season, to be bountiful, so that there will be so much food and the prices would relatively step down, so it will become affordable. But because there is actually hunger in the land, and people are just keeping their fingers crossed while waiting. Well, that will be much we'll have to dwell on this issue. Let's go for a short break. When we return, Daybreak Benue will be interacting with Sam Agua on this issue revolving democracy. Please stay with us.
Welcome to the exciting world of Benue Television, where we give you an exclusive ride into the world of news, current affairs, and entertainment. Ready for a first stop? Ride with me. For Benue Television.
Our news and flagship program, Daybreak Benue, keeps you informed on events and happenings around the nation and the world.
We engage our guests on hot topics and beam searchlight on shady stories.
With millions of people watching Benue TV worldwide, we ensure that we bring you news that is accurate, timely, and dependable.
Our programs are entertaining and educative with high quality audio, leaving you with an amazing viewing experience.
Benue TV, a new dimension in broadcasting.
Welcome back from that break, and thank you very much for joining us, especially for those of you watching us on our streaming media platforms. We look forward to having your contributions, comments as well on that platform as we engage Sam Agua, who is a good governance advocate and public affairs analyst on the sustainability of the Nigerian democracy. So let's just jump right into this conversation. What's your take on Nigerian democracy so far?
Well, I think we made progress, but it's not really a progress that I would say is very inspiring. But again, I would also say it's also inspiring. You see, I'm conflicting myself. We had thought by now we'll be far, but sometimes there are these guys that will come with a narrative that it took America 100 years, 200 years, blah, 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 and they keep making us feel we are making progress, but not exactly, because we structurally, Nigeria is foundationed a bit on a lot of controversies. There is so much that maybe we took for granted in the journey to birthing Nigeria or nationhood, and these things have rubbed into affecting how our institutions are weak, how electoral processes are not having much integrity, how we have virtually what I would call we have democratized corruption in Nigeria today, which is almost genetic. Everybody look at a lot of things, but I think structurally we need to redefine Nigeria's democracy. I don't know whether we'll redefine it from the standpoint of what the guys that visited President Tinubu recently, the patriots, or from the perspective of the conference reports, the confabs we've been having, or we will convene something new, but there's something structurally deficient. The suspicions amongst us, the ethnic misgivings, the manner in which the general leadership since 1999 has plunged us into lots of more deeper levels of suspicion. It's a whole complex thing to pick, but fairly, of course, if not democracy, what else? We can talk of military rule. That one is not even, we don't even think that is possible again, and that. So we are making progress, but we are not making progress. I've conflicted myself.
Okay, now, do you think the country called Nigeria has ever existed since the democracy has come to state, maybe like 2 decades ago? That Nigerianness, do we have it really?
Yeah, we have it on paper. A very rich document. We even have an anthem.
Okay, no, we may not be talking about documents now. We're talking about the people, because it is not the document that actually make us Nigeria. It is the people, the attitude, their attitudes to one another that really makes us Nigeria.
So our Nigerianity is doubtful in many respects. I don't know, but nobody really seems to be so sure of another. And you know, when you are an ethnic, when a lot of ethnic nationalities come together, like what we have, the Doma nation, the Tiv nation, the Yoruba nation, the Hausa, up to we hear there's 200 or 300, I wouldn't know. Emphasis ought to have been placed on how our democracy will wear a community outlook. For now, it has not won that. There is no much of recognition of our ethnic differences that can be united, our diversities that can be harnessed better. What we are doing is the politics of a structured democratic system of government we inherited or we adopted, where everything is political. Like right now, if you go to where a councillor is in a council ward, he is seen more as the most important person than the traditional ruler of that council ward. When in actual fact, it is the communities that also own this local government chairman. A lot of things need to be done. I'm not saying that's just, I'm only picking because we can pick on 100 things, 200 things and that. So our Nigerianness has been more of what I would say, we've been pretending. I want to be raw. It's a marriage of convenience and inconvenience of sort. I'm able to lord over you, you are able to lord over the other one, the other one is able to lord over the other one, the other one is waiting for his turn to come. And to some extent, we even came up with something we structured called the federal character. The federal character recognizes states. Now, let's look at Benue. If a chief man in Benue is given an appointment, federal character is respected. But in reality, if you dig deeper, if we go to community levels of federal character, I mean, trying to give a federal character to our field, we appreciate that. Yes, we might have recognized Benue, but we might be undermining an Etilo man or another ethnic minority again and again and again. There's a whole lot, and we have carried this thing over time, right before 1999, and from 1999 we are going forward with it. And sometimes we try to look at the aesthetic reasons of where we are that are wrong. Oh, the elections were flawed. We are not getting it right on the electoral processes. But there's a historical link to this. When we fused together, when we became one, we started gradually throwing away our ethnic, those ethnic blocks that form a recognition that we can build a Nigeria from a community-based system of arrangement. That is what up till now, some people will ask, well, why do we have traditional rulers? What are they doing? Sometimes they are even fighting and asking for their role in the constitution. When if a governor of a state or a president of a nation has crisis, they will go back to some village head or some leader to look at it. But those leaders, when the chiefs are down, are also end up being under the governor or the chairman or the president, and it's as if they are their employees. A lot is wrong. So I think we need to rework the democracy. How? I pointed. Either we go back to what the reports we have on ground, either the National Assembly on its own go beyond just declaring a national anthem or passing a law to have a national anthem, to see how we can redefine. A lot of people think if we want to redefine Nigeria, we will break it.
Mercy.
No, not yet.
Mercy, please, I'll ask this question.
Yes.
So that I don't run out of the chain of thought. You see, we are talking about democracy, and I think, as far as I'm concerned, we are talking from the top. Yeah. If the Hausa man is not seeing the thief man as his brother, democracy cannot work.
That is what we are saying.
Because democracy must work when there is a bonding.
Yeah.
That is only when you can have true democracy.
Yeah.
And I want you to talk about the role of religion and tribe and region in this matter. If these things are removed from our polity, can our democracy work?
Yeah, it will work largely. For instance, with due apologies, I'm a Christian. We go to meeting and somebody is saying, let us pray. Let us pray a Muslim prayer, and at the close of our meeting, let us pray a Christian prayer. When we have a national anthem that is already a prayer or a national place that can serve these purposes, we build this culture in, still giving us a fee to recognize our religion, which is supposed to be something a bit quiet, a bit private. Not necessarily, because religion is, the morality of religion is supposed to guide state policy, state direction, but it shouldn't be made to form part of it like that. So today we have a situation where we are in a meeting, some guy gets up that it's 12 o'clock, I belong to this religion, we need to go and pray. The meeting is held down, things like that. Yeah, you may say government shouldn't stop people from expressing their, but why should you express your religious right or freedom that affects what we will build together as a nation? I can go to things that I'm also directly involved. I belong to the Christian faith that we speak in tongues. We are the Pentecostals. But sometimes I'm not comfortable that a church of 5-6 puts microphones everywhere, speaks in tongues throughout the night around the whole community, and another one does that, another one does that. You wake up early in the morning, somebody some Muslim guy is doing that, so there is a national consciousness of religion in other democracies. Although it could be the reasons why they are morally decadent or not, I wouldn't know, but they don't emphasize religion the way we emphasize. I believe Bill Clinton goes to church, Kamala Harris goes to church. All those people have some church roots. You won't see them over express or over the other. So I agree with you, but we can, if we want to take that off now, if we cannot take it off as a single item or discourage it, we have to look at the whole big envelope of the many issues, from how we can create better community bonding, from addressing injustices of the past. Let me even tell you a new trend. I am a victim of a banditry act or IDP. You want me to forgive Nigeria quickly? This is not only, a lot of things have come in. So when I say a big envelope, that means to address this entirely, let us come and reshape Nigeria. What people are calling restructuring. Let's not shy. We'll still be Nigeria if we love the name. No big deal about it. But democracy for now in Nigeria will continue to experience the hiccups. Of course, one may argue everywhere these things happen. No. The nationalism, the patriotism in us is not as strong as the patriotism in other democracies, where citizens would not joke with their nation. Here, actually, some people, if given an opportunity that this is Nigeria, like this teacup, which incidentally you didn't put tea in, that, okay, take this teacup and break it, and that is that they will do it. Elsewhere, yes, it could be, but not to the extent here in Nigeria. It's just to wait for my opportunity to come. I grab, I move on with my clique, or my tribe, or my religion, or my community, or my friends. The other person comes, does the same, which boils down to the issue of weak institutions even, because it has made the institutions to be weak, because the institutions are also structured under arrangements that are intended to make sure that they protect the man there, or I protect my interest there. That is why you are seeing elections in Nigeria never really getting at anything.
I'm going to talk about these institutions, strengthening our Nigerian institutions, because so far so good. They are weak, and the implication of that is undermining the very essence of democracy. And recently on Friday, there was a revelation made in a 160-page report on the 2023 general election titled Nigeria's Pursuit of Electoral Compliance, the National Peace Committee NPC 2023 general elections. And that committee, the National Peace Committee, is headed by a former head of state, General Abdusalami Abubakar, retired. And in this report, they narrated how there was so much pressure mounted on them by politicians, political parties, different groups, to influence the outcome of the 2023 elections. And recently there was also, a report coming from the former president of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo, where he said that Nigerian leaders, are in a position to strengthen Nigerian democracy, but they act out of greed. To think that, of course, he's also one of the Nigerian leaders, at the helm of the affair once upon a time. But notwithstanding, where we have this much personal interests, overriding or always seeking to own Nigeria as though it's a personal entity, and then it affects the institution as a whole, weakening the Nigerian institution as a whole, undermining the very essence of democracy. And my question will be, how do we pull out of this? Because if you say we need to strengthen our constitution, we need to rework Nigeria, now who is the we that will do these things? Because those that are supposed to be at the helm of affairs doing these things, obviously sometimes are involved in weakening the institutions.
Most times.
Well, you raised two things. The we is still us. Rome was not built in a day. We keep pushing, so the we remains us, even though the we has compartments. the we that are critical to pushing this forward. Sadly, the we is what is exciting everybody to take advantage of. Because the we goes and every of the we is fighting for his own we. You get what I'm saying? Traditional rulers go, they are fighting for inclusion to have a role. The youths go, they are fighting to have student loans and to have upkeep allowance until they get jobs, so many things. So even in the agitations or the pressure where the citizens are mounting, the philosophical lining is also weak. So with deficit in leadership, which we have experienced since 1999 to date, these things, whether deliberately or not deliberately, take advantage of our we being very weak and stuff like that. See, pressure on the Abdul Salami committee on elections. Once there is pressure anywhere, know that institutions are not working.
Yes.
Once I sit down here and I'm calling a VC or a registrar or somebody in JAM to fit some person, know that the institution is not working. If it is working, nobody will call somebody. Now, people, and because it's not working, we don't even know the responsibilities of the structures we have in place to deepen governance. That group of Abdul Salami is more an advisory arrangement. It's like a moral compass, just trying to help guys. Let the nation not drift. Let's not teach. Let's step in. Let's offer our words to something. They don't even have. It's not even a legal. It's not even an institutional thing of note. But for that purpose of respect and that, because they've known it all, because they are part of the problems we are facing. So sometimes they also try to be part of the solution. Sometimes out of either genuineness or guilty conscience or whatever. So why was pressure on them? Because people have lost faith. People lost faith in INEC. People lost faith in the judiciary. People lost faith in not Benue television, but you see, people keep losing faith at different levels, and these things keep pushing, and then there is this pressure. If institutions will work, why do I need to know a policeman to help give a bail to somebody when the person could have as well called somebody to come identify himself, document, and give him bail? These are the issues. But I don't want us to sit looking at what we can see: weak institutions, democratization of corruption, collapse of values, all the grammar. I want us to look at this structurally in the foundation of what the Nigerian state is. Our forefathers might have meant well, maybe, I don't know. But remember, the manner the British also manipulated them, created some psych, and this thing, like the Bible says, the works of their father they will do. It's just like a genetic thing. We're just rolling on. Yes, there might be some strong civil society citizen activism. There may be very strong things we are seeing that are giving us democracy on course, because there are a lot of interventions that are coming that are giving that indication. But fundamentally, because let's go back to Abdul Salami again. INEC told us how they will conduct elections.
Yeah.
They didn't follow how they wanted to conduct elections. They weighed many things. Here I like being very balanced. I like being balanced here. Do we cancel this whole process because some procedure? Do we cancel in some places? Do we do what? They do, because the institutional construct of the persons playing is not even Nigeria. It's more about who put me there. If Governor Alia gives me a job, I will defend Governor Alia, except if Governor Alia decides to take off his eyes and try to say, let this thing stand. Let it, you guys deliver. I will not come in. Just do the best you can, blah, 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 blah. Sometimes these express signals are not given to top level institutions like that. Even the one that claims to be independent, the judiciary, you are hearing the crisis around it.
Should it be given? Doesn't the institution has rules?
Yes.
The institution have laws of its own.
Yes.
That governs it.
Yes.
So do you need to be given an express way
Beautiful.
to operate when the institution is guided by rules and regulations?
You have gone very academic and intellectual, and I love it. Meaning that you, me, and my sister here, we are part of the problem. We have seen the rules that say, don't admit someone below like this. You have seen the rule that say, beavers should read something, should do that, something should do that. You've seen it. You still go ahead. That is, let's even agree you were not remoted. You were not controlled. So it means we, the we that you asked me who is the we, is now coming to play. So it means after I'm made a judge and I've sworn to an oath, I still will go and take bribes, or I will still will go and do some misconduct. When I'm a commissioner and I've sworn an oath, I'll still go and steal public property or inflate something or do something. So you see, it boils back to the same thing. So it means that even we, the citizens, are just waiting for an opportunity to also go and be part of this leadership we are crying that is deficient or there is deficit, so that we can also take our own, come back and sit down and become moral compass of the nation. Because we have seen it and we are made, and some guilty conscience or some fear or some, maybe we have seen the light of God or something. We try sometimes to do things that are correct. Meanwhile, we are part of the issues. So it's complex. But like that is why the controversial statements, we are moving as a democracy. Sometimes it's as if we are also not moving. So it's something we are still weighing. We can't give a clear answer. But one fact is, the we, which is the citizen, which I said they are in different layers. The citizen at the level of the National Assembly members or the former leaders like Abdul Salami, and maybe up down to people like us who are the 130 million who are in multi-level poverty at all tiers of this we.
Yeah.
There seems now that we that are this the lowest rung of society have decided now to say, hey, you guys, you need to do something. So we are hoping that things, but there's nothing cosmetic. We must go back and operate either the true federalism we are talking about or restructure to ensure that things work much better. Let me tell you something in security that will even fascinate you or open your eyes. The divisional police officer in that community takes an order from IG, which is passed down. And as the order comes, sometimes at that level, a simple case is asked to be taken to Abuja. It begins to tell you that even in these things that you say that are written, in the institutional arrangements that this is what you should do, you are independent, you should do that, you should do that, we the citizens, whichever is that tier, also try to create over a simple matter what could even be resolved in that local government or at the state level. So in the end, if you want me to say it outrightly, any president of Nigeria can also get us moving if they decide for once to allow institutions to work. Even if institutions are allowed to work for 5 months, you will see a change in this country. Your broadcasting organization of Nigeria will not be told from anywhere that a station has gone wrong. They will know when the station has
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. We're still having a conversation on the sustainability of the Nigerian democracy with the distinguished Sam Agua in the studio, holding conversation on this. So just before that break, we're about to talking something.
You have to remind me. I'm an old man. When you say it, I will
we're talking
remember.
about the sustainability of the Nigerian democracy with the current reality on the ground as we speak. There has always been clamor, for either the Nigerian democracy to be strengthened or for us to practice the true federalism. And one or two voices have voiced the need to move away from even the democracy entirely. An unpopular opinion, though. But however, what do you think currently, as we see with the reality on ground, in terms of sustainability?
Well, moving away from whether unitary to presidential to whatever may not be very key. But what is key is what, in my mind, is what I would say. I want a situation where people own democracy, or people own Nigeria.
Yeah.
I want community ownership of Nigeria. Whether it will express better in the presidential, I doubt though, I wouldn't know. But if you want me to speak without confusing people, I am an advocate of unitary system of government. Let the various geopolitical regions be as if they are on their own, with a central Nigeria, handling security, import, export, all those issues. But like North Central now, we should have a prime minister for North Central, prime minister for South South. There will be the kind of thing Tinubu is trying to talk about. But remember, like I said, it's not really about the nomenclature or that. If we can tweak the presidential or the democracy, whatever we expect, to give that feel that communities are in charge of this process. When I say communities, I'm trying to de-emphasize the much of politics, because if you have a traditional ruler whom you have appointed, whom everybody goes to, even the president comes and kneels down to, and such people are not integrated in the core of governance. We are talking about the House of Assembly, or at the House of Assembly level. The House of Assembly member in that your area is the person that is seen to be representative of the people. Now, the traditional ruler is not recognized per se as a representative of the people. Who is the main custodian of the cultural values of the people? Now, you may argue, democratic process, everybody participates in electing their leaders. For chiefs, some come on account of ascendancy because of family stuff, or some come because some elders sit and whatever. Now, let me bring another controversy. What is wrong with democratically elected traditional rulers? Although that may sound
story for another day.
Yeah, story for another day. Because what is wrong? Because in the end, these are the people that resolve disputes. A lot of ADR, alternative dispute resolution today, is the community people that are driving it. And these community people that are driving it don't seem to have that force of law, that constitutional or that legal weight to do the things they are doing. They just do them and we all agree. Recently, I know you will not like this, but the paramount ruler of the Tiv Nation called Governor Hyacinthe Talia and Senator George Akume to come and talk and see how they can work better. But that paramount ruler who called them together and they came, do you know that a chairman of a local government, Boko local government, can be asked to remove him? So communities.
Is that
yeah,
very true?
Yeah, because he's just under. In fact, he's technically under the Bureau for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs. They pay him salary. They give him allowances. They do that. Not that it shouldn't be that way, but the question now is, why can't such institutions have that regalia?
Yeah, that kind of class.
Like they can. We know the legislature make something they can, so that we know that communities are feeling a sense of ownership. Because the fights in the villages, they settle them better than police. They may use odd ways to settle, They may be exploitative. They may say, you bring goat, you bring pig, you bring that, but somehow we move on. This is not my community context. I'm using the example of traditional chiefs just as an example. We can tweak things around it. But remember, I don't want to lose track of the paramount thing I said here. We need to sit down and rework Nigeria. It's as simple. How we will rework it, and also it's a thinking process.
I'm thinking that if the word consequences begin to play out here, where people begin to face the consequences for their actions or inactions, especially leaders at various platforms or office holders, we have scenarios where it has become a thing of using the people now, or somebody at the helm of affair setting the tone, changing the narrative, controlling the narrative, making everybody just dance along depending on whatever suits that individual, that stakeholder or that leader. We had recently, there was a case with Yaya Bello in the news, but now it seems as though that case is a bit quiet. Nigerians are not hearing much about it. And we have had several cases in the time past, and sometimes these things appear as though it's just politically motivated or made to witch hunt. But if you're on the other side, you'll be protected. If you're not, you will face the wrath of the law. The law is becoming a tool in the hands of somebody.
Listen, you're talking about the rule of law, which I don't want to be sounding negative, which is not working because the people that want the rule of law to work are frustrating it. There is something called Attorney General of the Federation. There's something called Attorney Generals in the states. There's something called the state. So the state gets involved in something. The states, we are seeing it, the state manipulates it to suit what it wants. And at the end of the day, the state may even withdraw the charges against you because now you may say, the president or at that level they have the powers to do that. What message have you passed? That's at a point we are hearing of something, and they will tell us the office of the Attorney General of the Federation or whatever has withdrawn blah 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 from such a matter, and the matter dies. And again, you guys in the media, instead of following up on something, you do, because you're also part of the corrupt society. In fact, to me, you are even more of the problem than even the big guys, because why can't you sustain, since you are the only people who would, is what you put for us that we read. So rule of law, fundamental. But now how do you go and fix rule of law on a structural foundation called Nigeria, that we need to sit down and rework things, either reframe constitution, do so many things. Let's not shy. It's a fact. We will do it, you will, but nepotism, everything, we kill it. Again, I just show you example on the rule of law. There are cases in these countries, not need mentioning, that people messed Nigeria up, and someday they will say the state has withdrawn from the matter. They don't tell us whether there's a plea bargain. They don't tell us anything. It ends. It looks simple, but what picture are you forming of Nigeria?
Okay, now you see, you've painted a bleak.
Blink?
Is the,
Not
the
really.
future.
I'm
the future
an optimist.
Yeah, no, I'm an optimist too. The picture to some extent is bleak. You see, you have the state, you have the rule of law. The state is in charge of the rule of law and all that.
Which they should,
Now, the people, the people, we can't, to a large extent, change things if the state is in charge of these institutions that the state itself weakened. Because, okay, for example, the hashtag and bad governance protest, it was criminalized. A lot of things were said about it. Okay, but that was the people trying to write things. But they don't have the platform to do these things, and that becomes the only way they could do it. But now the same state is criminalizing that. So now how do we, because you try to put, you try to categorize the we here.
Yes, they are in categories.
Yes, you try to categorize the we in this case. But the majority of the we are not enjoying this country.
Yes.
Whether during democracy or any other kind of
that is
governance.
people like us.
All right, now, what should the larger we do so that true democracy can be institutionalized?
Listen.
Yes.
There is, because of time, I will just point at something straight.
Yes, quickly.
It is us. But okay, it is, we have doubted the word we. It is we that put that House of Assembly member there, who goes and becomes part of the we that now sits back and makes things difficult for us. Because they will not do oversight, they will not tell us anything, they will just sit down there cruising and I'm coming.
Are we responsible
when
the structures or the institutions that helps in putting the House of Assembly member there is even very weak?
This is a mix now. I wanted to look at it from that side. Now you have brought this one. It's all joined. I will explain. Now, we put you there. You are in the parliament for us. You don't tell us anything. We can't rely on you. Because if you look at it, no parliamentarian of note came out during the end band governance thing, or if they came out just in trickles to talk. We can't say 2% of them came, even trying to say the citizens you are talking the right thing. Why are they not doing that? Because when you graduate from another we bracket to another we bracket, your psychology, everything about you changes. Because that is why we need to categorize this we. And now you begin to see things from a different perspective. Now the challenge is both us that put these people there. Because why can't we even protest against our House of Assembly members or our representatives? Not protest in a sense of, but why can't we just write letter and call them to come and be telling us things and take our opinion and say it on the floor? Let us also hear. That's one side. Then the side of the institutions that we are trying to elect, who will represent us and change things for us, that also go and get compromised, who are also a product of the we to some extent, but they are appointed from those we that are in charge of leadership, like the president appointing an INEC chairman through the instrumentality of the parliament and a lot of those things. So, sustaining democracy in Nigeria, number one, please, let's go back and look at what is standing called Nigeria. Let's check the foundation. There could be some poles that are not right. Let's have the guts to fix them. Look at, it's been a running debate, even begging to have a unicameral legislation in this country. Because why can't we either scrap off the Senate and allow reps, since there are many and they are more representative, or scrap the rep, or marry rep and senate and find a middle ground, so that things like cost of governance, more, a lot of things. These debates keep on. Next year you will have somebody in the station again talking about this, talking about this. So we are only chasing the visible things we are seeing. I want us to look at those things we are not seeing, because from the advent of democracy in 1999, let's go back. Look at the military coup. There was no one that didn't have an intonation of some ethnic color. Whether it was not planned like that, but it turned out to give that impression. They've been, now look at how the government, so right now what has emerged in the we, my brother and sister, what has come up in the we now is different people across different ethnicities and different backgrounds and different faiths have constituted themselves into a section of this we, where there is no tribe, there's no religion, there's no wahala for them. The only thing is they are just there cruising. That's the new we that has come now. So if we want to say, because in this we, a thief man and an Igbo man and an Ichekiri man are all together on what has joined them, which is to take advantage of the nation. Take advantage of the nation. I use that consciously. Just close your eyes to things. Don't worry about anything. So structurally, let's just sit back and structure. I align entirely with the patriots. Although I would have told Nigerians the many things they said, they met President Tinubu and gave him a list of how they think things should be fixed in Nigeria. They mentioned the reports, that the confab report during Jonathan, a lot of other things, that we should sit back at the table. And President Tinubu told them something trailing, and I love President Tinubu for that he has this hunger problem Nigerians are talking about. Let him try to sort out this. It's not good for hungry people to sit at the table talking. They may end up not even talking well. That means the recognition of Nigeria being reworked is key. Yeah. So if we just go and pick strengthening institutions, strengthening this, which are all good, which will be helping us ultimately, we may be missing something. And that is the structure of something that people don't want. The parliament will tell you in Abuja that, yeah, we are a body constituted to make laws. Let us be the ones to do this discussion. Another group is saying, no, even though you are there, let us elect a constituent assembly. Yeah. Let people come from communities again and talk. And so you see, that is what has been happening. So we have been moving on, hoping and yearning. But one fact you can't take away is that citizen participation in democracy has increased tremendously over time. I think more people voted in the last election. Maybe it could also be on account of people that have crossed into the 18-year mark or something, but there has been enthusiasm. The social media has liberalized.
There has been, some analysts that came out to say that the reason why there was so much, there was high participation in the last general elections was because of the renewed hope. Now in the Electoral Act, the amendments, and then the prospects that yes, indeed, their vote will count, their vote will matter. Now, going by how that election played out, and you could even see that in the NCP committee reports here, where the pressure that was being mounted on them wasn't necessary that they should influence the outcome of the election, but it was more of complaints concerning the conduct of the election, that they should go beyond their duties and interfere, because there were violations. One of the peace accords signed by political parties, they didn't adhere strictly to that. And secondly,
but again, a peace accord is a gentleman agreement.
Yes,
actually.
But then the Electoral Act,
you should be a gentleman to honor it. So maybe,
and they should call INEC to order, because the Electoral Act was not respected. And they gave, and this was one of the clauses that made so many people to be so interested and involved in that election, that many went all out to ensure they vote, because there was this confidence that their vote will count. Now, since all of these things didn't play out, and the sad part is the reports that INEC later gave after the whole court hearing, petitions, and everything was finally resolved, there were so many justifications and excuses as to why they should not be held for not adhering strict to what they verbally came out to promise Nigerians. Don't you think that moving forward, why the issue of the sustainability of democracy is coming to question is, if Nigerians will still believe or come out in another general election to still participate actively like they did, then seeing that what was promised them was what was not delivered?
Well, I believe Nigerians have decided to take Nigeria as their project. Yeah. Quite frankly, if you see, if you go on the social media and you are following the general media too, you will discover that Nigerians have suddenly are not keeping quiet. They are talking and pushing. They are talking and pushing. You see, I think INEC has some elections to do again. Yes. Some places.
Ondo.
Yeah. Let's see. The last one they did also had issues. The last what they call is it by-election or off-season election, and they did had some issues. This one again, we'll see how it plays in the reality of things. But remember, this has gone beyond INEC. The psyche of the people is tempered with. If you see the Abdul Salami group, let me be mild, but why are they bringing their report out now? For heaven's sake. Yes. We've run a full year, and because you guys were also part of these problems we are facing, you sit down, taking time to come out with a report. Couldn't they have been releasing some nuggets in the course of this election and things, because they don't want to rock the boat in their way? The meaning that maybe, okay, our voices are weighty. If we say something, people will blah 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 and that. You are seeing part of this problem. The moral compass they are giving us now, or the issues they are telling us now, don't help us much. They would have also come out if they witnessed irregularities in the election to say we as this is what we are seeing here and here based on report, blah 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 blah. You calm down. You bring out something now, although not a bad thing. So you see, Nigerians, I want to believe, are listening, we are watching, we are seeing that we need to talk. And Nigerians are, look at the activism today, and very civil too. There was something I missed. You were talking about government criminalizing people on one hand and blah blah. No, the two have to go together. Let's be very frank. A policeman sent to ensure a peaceful protest. You chasing a policeman with his gun. It's not fair. That may not be the intention of the protesters, but this, so we must, in the course of trying to bring good governance, also not allow bad governance. We can't condone it. People that were involved in the looting and those issues, if they are picked, showing the Russian flag and all those things, they should be dealt with, because you cannot expect that what should you make a good thing you want to do to be evil spoken of? Why? What do you? I want to then I make it so evil. I want to give you money or food. Then I just come and I just throw the food to your face. After all, you need food, take it now. You know, it's not good again. Even though, so these are the issues. So government should do both. I believe in the rule of law. It should take its place. While government should also recognize the fact that there is an agitation. People have said something. People don't want to be patient to see renewed hope, agenda, second year, third year. You know, Nigerians are learning from Buhari. First year, let's be patient. Second year, let's be patient. So we're going to elect Buhari again. People told us that, okay, let's see how in the next term. Now today we are hearing things that we are not finding funny. Sometimes they cause some things we don't even think they are real. They will cause some amounts of money, cause some kinds of transactions, and today we have come to where we are with no production, $1 at 1.6 or thereabout, and a lot of these issues. So that is what Nigerians are learning.
Okay, as a way of wrapping up, because we are out of time for this very conversation here. When I look at democracy, I see where people are called to actually serve.
Yes.
How will, as a way of conclusion, the masses, get those leaders that they have elected or called on them to serve them, to actually serve them?
Well, let me answer my way. I want to appeal to Nigerians, because there's no time. I want to appeal to Nigerians not to give up on democracy. Let's see how we support things through. Nigeria belongs to us. Let's work towards supporting the institutions, doing our best, and holding them accountable. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much, the distinguished Sam Agua, for finding time to come on Daybreak this morning. Well, we have been holding a conversation on sustainability of democracy in Nigeria. We're going to turn our attention now to medical students, that is NAD protest, abduction of Ghanaian and Benue medical students. We'll have our guests seated shortly for a conversation. Please do not go away. Daybreak Benue will be right back. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us as we hold a conversation on NAD protests, abduction of Ghanaian and Benue medical students. And the report reaching us has it that the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, they threatened to embark on a nationwide strike if their abducted colleague, Dr. Ghanaian Popular, is not released by August 26th. I mean, what's today's date? Time is fast ticking. The president of NAD, Dr. Dele Abdullahi, made this declaration at a press briefing in Abuja on Wednesday, stating that the association has lost patience with the government's inaction over the abduction. And joining us for a conversation this morning is Dr. Fanin Doga, President, Association of Resident Doctors, FMC Makode. And it's not just Dr. Ghanaian that has been abducted, even a Benue medical student has equally been abduction. And we learned that this abduction took place along Otukbo Road. Yes, that's where this abduction took place. You're welcome, Dr. Fanin. Thank you so much for joining us Daybreak this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right, so you being in the system have probably gotten intel so far of what's happening. Can you give us a briefing of how this abduction took place, if you have heard any intel on the motive or the reason why this Dr. Ghanaian and some other medical students were abducted along that Otukpo road, and where they were heading to, and if they were on a mission or something that this kind of incident took place?
Okay, thank you very much for having me this morning. Thank you, viewers. Just to correct that, the students that were abducted are not, even though some of them are from Benue State, but about 12 of them are actually from University of Maiduguri. Okay. Yeah, and about 8 or so are from University of Jos. And then we have, I think, one house officer, a doctor that was with them. They were heading to Enugu for a conference that was organized by the Federation of Catholics Medical and Dental Students, while they were adopted. So that's what we know. The security agencies have been informed. I'm aware that the government of Benue is aware of it, and as at last we checked, they're trying to make efforts to see if the students can be released. As for Dr. Ghanaian, she's a doctor with the National Eye Care Center, Kaduna State. That's where she works. She was abducted sometime in December. That's about 7 months and 22 days ago. She has since been with the abductors, the kidnappers, up till now. She was abducted alongside her husband and her nephew. The husband was eventually released, but she and the nephew are still in captivity. That's the information we have about that security situation.
Has a demand for ransom been made?
Yeah, for for adoption of Dr. Ghanaian, demands for ransom have been made. We understand that huge amounts of monies have actually been paid. I'm sure that was one of the reasons why the husband was released. However, she and the nephew are yet to be released. For the medical students, we also are aware that some demands for ransom have been made as at this morning. That's what we know.
These students, they were not just traveling. They were probably headed somewhere for a mission, I believe.
Yeah, they were going to Enugu for a meeting, a conference that was organized by the Federation of Catholics Medical and Dental Students, FECAMS. Yeah, they were going for one of their conferences when they were adopted.
Okay, now that we know their demands now, of course, we may not have the figures. So what are the efforts we put in place to see how these demands can be met so that the students can be released?
Okay, well, like I said, the government of the state is aware. The security agencies are aware. In fact, after the abduction, the Nigerian Medical Association at the national level wrote a letter immediately, just few hours after that, to the IGP of police, that of course contacted the Commissioner of Police here in Benue State. The DSS is involved, has been informed. Well, from our interaction with them, these are security issues, so sometimes you can't be disclosing certain information on national TV. But what we know is that the security agencies are trying to see how they can get them released, while some other negotiations are also going on behind the scenes to see how they can be released. That's what we know for now.
Okay, let's talk about these protests.
Yeah.
These NAD protests, and your association had given ultimatum. 26th August, if they are not released, and I'm talking all of them. right? Not just Dr. Ganiat. If they're not released, then you lay down tools.
Well, our ultimatum was not for the medical students. Our ultimatum was actually for Dr. Ganiat Popwala, who happens to be a member of our association. Actually, the plans for our ultimatum came up on Wednesday, before the medical students actually adopted. So the discussions around the ultimatum were not factoring the medical students in them. In fact, that came before the medical students were actually adopted. So our ultimatum was actually for Dr. Popwala Ganiat, who happens to be a member of our association.
Why did it take so long for NAD to come to this protest, considering the fact that Dr. Popwala was adopted a long time ago?
Yeah, well, we've been agitating from day one. Okay. We've reached out to security agencies up to the highest level. Ministry of Defense is aware, the NSA is aware, police is aware, the Department of State Services is aware. We've involved all of them. We've been engaging them on this. We actually didn't want to protest, didn't want to go that route. We felt that with our engagement with them behind the scenes, something would be done. This was actually because we discovered that irrespective of whatever engagement we're having with them, nothing was forthcoming. So we decided to take that route. We have actually been engaging since she was abducted last year. Yeah. We've been trying to see how, but we didn't see any significant effort from them to free her. That was why we had to do the protest.
You may not have answers to this, but I need to ask it.
Okay.
Do you have contact, and are you sure she's still alive?
Yeah, well, she's alive. We've been in communication with her. Well, not through the phone, but there are ways that we've been contacting her.
Are you sure she's the one?
She's alive. She's alive. Yes, we are aware. The father is the only thing that is making us a bit calm, because she's alive, and we are hoping that she'll be released very soon.
What will be the implication of this protest? Because the mere mention of protest gets many Nigerians jittery, especially when it has to do with medical doctors.
Well, I think we outlined that in our communique. The protest was actually supposed to come up to have happened earlier. Okay. One of the reasons why we suspended or postponed it up until when we did it was because of the hunger protest. We didn't want a situation where it comes around that period and people latch on it, and then so we said, okay, let's do it at a time when it should not be hijacked by certain individuals, or it should not have any political inclination, because we are not politicians, we are professionals, so. But the implication is that, the reason why if we didn't protest, you probably don't know that our colleague has been in captivity for 7 months. So we had no option but to bring it to the public, to create some form of pressure on the government to act, and then also to bring in more publicity, because it's becoming one too many. This is not the first time our colleague is being kidnapped. We have a lot of doctors that have been harassed, kidnapped, some even killed in the country within the last few years. So it's becoming something that is really, really distressing. A lot of our colleagues have left the country because of insecurity. Yeah, I know of about 3 or 4 doctors that have left because they were kidnapped. The professor was kidnapped I think last year in Cross River State. Up till now, we don't know her fate. The professor of medicine kidnapped from a hospital. People came as patients and kidnapped her. In Benue State here, we have one of our senior colleagues in fact, 2 of our senior colleagues that were kidnapped just here in Boko. In fact, one of them was even shot on the leg. So when you just a few months ago or last year, one of our colleagues was kidnapped around that Logo area, also Kum area of Benue State. A senior colleague was also kidnapped around Kasnala I think last year or so. So it's becoming too rampant. In Plateau State, just few last year, a colleague was also kidnapped.
Is it because they are medical personnel, or is it just a random thing that they just run, like maybe fate? They run out of, I don't want to use the word luck.
Well, I'm not in the mind of the kidnappers.
Yes.
I may not know their motive. People have this erroneous impression that doctors are rich. Doctors have money, which is far from the truth. You are aware that some of our colleagues in the teaching hospital are on strike. Why are they on strike? Poor remunerations. The people are working their lives out morning to day to night, taking calls 24 hours in the hospital. It's not like they are paid so much money, but people have this impression that the doctor is rich. So I think that is the reason why some people probably think that if they kidnap a doctor, something will come out. and they call large sums of money for ransom. I mean, these guys don't have that money. Right.
Okay, the call for protest has been lingering now. What is the response of the government react concerning this call for laying down of tools by NAD?
Well, most of us protested on Friday, and of course, with government, most times their activities are within the week, like Monday to Friday. So today is Monday. We are going to see the reaction. For now, we've not had any significant contact with government yet. We are going to interface with them this week and see what happens. We'll see whether there's going to be any significant results from the protest. But like we said, if there's nothing for them, we're also down to. I mean, we cannot be working in an environment that does not really appreciate our security. So, but we are hopeful that the government will do the needful. So
what are your expectations on the part of government? When you say the government would do it needful, do you mind spelling out exactly what you would have the government do?
Very simple. We want our colleague to be released. The security agencies just do their work. I mean, this is not the work of. It's the work of the security. If somebody is kidnapped anywhere, it's the security agencies that should get the person out. So we expect that within this week, Dr. Ganiat Popola will be released. Yeah. I'm not a security agent. I don't know. I may not have details of how they go about their operations, but they are armed with what it takes to release people that are kidnapped by hoodlums or militants, whatever they call themselves. So if somebody has been kidnapped, we expect the security agents to do their work. So we expect that within this week, they will get that woman released. And of course, that applies to the medical students as well. Yes, it applies to the medical students as well.
You see, anytime they say when two elephants fight, grass, trees, and so forth.
Yeah.
Now we are talking about the people, the community you serve. By the time you're down two, what are we supposed to expect?
Well, you see, we have grasses that are very powerful, and these grasses have what it takes to pull certain elephants to do certain things. So the essence of bringing this to the public is not just about government; it's about also well-meaning Nigerians who have access to government to call them to order, to call them to do the needful. I mean, if the public feels that doctors are important and doctors are carrying out essential services, what affects the doctor should affect the public. So if the public doesn't really care about what affects the doctor, it's unfortunate. Now the thing is that our protest or our downing tools has not. We don't want to see. The truth is that we don't want to down tools.
Yeah.
We are not people that are quick to want to stop work. We love our work. Our work is service to humanity. Yeah. We are there. Medicine is a calling. You are there to serve. It's just like the work of a clergy. I mean, so it's not about personal, but this. That's why I said 7 months. 7 months, close to a year. Yeah, for God's sake, this is a woman that has children. It says, you know what I mean? It's, you cannot abandon your child for 7 months. You are alive. Nobody will do that. I mean, the trauma. So it's not that for us to have left it for this long, you should know that we've been very tolerant with government's effort. But it's not enough. And it's painful because government has a capacity to do what they're supposed to do. So I mean, that is it. That's just it. We are really sorry if our protest affects anybody negatively, but that is not the essence. The essence is for the public and government to do the needful.
It will definitely affect. I mean, we're talking about NAD here embarking on strike. Would there be some certain doctors on standby to attend to cases of emergency, or we're just going to have a total shutdown?
Okay, well, the tertiary hospitals have certain category of doctors. We have the consultants, so our senior colleagues are the consultants, and then we have the association of resident doctors. I mean, that is the resident doctors, those are in registered training, and the medical officers. They are the resident doctors, and then we have the house officers. It's a different category of doctors. So the people that are going on strike are basically the resident doctors. So we have the consultants that are still working. So I'm sure they can attend some of the emergencies that will be coming. So at least there will be some services that will still be rendered. Of course, we are the ones that do the bulk of the work actually, but it's unfortunate actually.
Okay, failing to tame this kidnapping once and for all, it's making them to grow, should I say, wings. They are becoming more confident, and oftentimes some people feel, okay, what I have to do is not travel by road or take certain routes, and then I'll be safe. But here we are. having where certain people are in their offices, in their homes, and yet they are still being kidnapped. And for tales that, for people who have interacted with, released or kidnapped victims that we have interacted with in the course of our programs previously, we got to really understand the trauma that they go through. They don't just treat you with or respect your rights. There's so many violations of your fundamental human rights that happens in the course of it all. We're going for a break. When we come back, we'll continue more on the NAT protest in respect to the abduction of Dr. Ganiat and the Benue medical students, and not just Benue medical students, students from University of Jos as well, and others, those that were traveling and they were kidnapped along Otukpa Road. We'll continue on this conversation and of course take your questions, your suggestions, your opinion on what best or how best you think this can be handled, that it won't result to creating another problem in trying to solve another one, because some people have the opinion that NAD protest is creating another problem trying to solve another one. We'll go for a break. Daybreak Benue. We'll continue. Stay with us. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us on Daybreak Benue. So let's come back to you, Dr. Fanen. This NAT protest that the ultimatum was 26th, but it has kickstarted because you made mention of, I recall you talking about a protest happening on Friday.
What I meant was, the protest was across the country.
Yeah.
In fact, some centers may even protest today. Because
so they're not waiting for the ultimatum then?
No. The protest is different from the ultimatum. Now, we were only protesting to bring to notice our plight and then to also let the public know what we intend to do if we don't have results or solutions to our problem.
It seems a series of protests. Talk to us about this different.
Well, they're not series of protests.
That's happening in the medical profession.
No, I'm not aware of other protests aside this one. The thing is, the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors at the national level give a press release on Wednesday. And then in the press release, from our own National Executive Council meeting, we agreed that centers across the country should also create awareness by going on the protest. Now, we didn't fix a particular day for everybody to protest. Okay. You protest based on the circumstances in your center. So, like in our own center here in Makurdi, we protested on Friday, and so many other centers across the country did that on Friday. Some centers may protest today. Others did on Thursday, so it depends on the peculiarities in your own environment. Now, that is just one of the ways we want to create awareness for this and pressure the government to do the needful. However, the ultimatum we gave was a 1-week ultimatum, or about 10 days, that if nothing is done, we're going to down to on the 26th of August, which is
nationwide.
Yes, which is on Friday. So the protest is different from this. The protest is not really a strike, and of course, it was an in-hospital protest. It's an in-hospital. The reason why we did make an in-hospital protest is because our protest is just to create awareness. It's not really to cause any disruption. It was just like my center, just an hour. And we went back to work. Everybody went back to work. So we invited the press, we addressed the press, we let them know what our issues are. We created some awareness among the people in the hospital and then people that were around, because we addressed the press at the gate. So it was not really to create any disruption in services in the hospital, just to create awareness, about the plight of our colleague. But the downing of two is supposed to be on 26th, which is on Friday, which is going to also be nationwide. So every tertiary center across the country is going to down.
And that is focused on the release of
Dr. Ganiat Popwala. Yes.
All right. Let's still talk about this protest. You see, of course, you said the intention is not to make the lives of Nigerians difficult.
Yeah.
But it is because you have something you are looking for, and that is the release of this doctor. Okay, now you see, for NAD, whatever they are asking for is very simple. Release this lady. But now the medical students also have been abducted within this time. Is there any voice you are raising for them as NAD?
Yeah, we are, and that is one of the things I'm doing right now. Also, like I said, we have been actively engaging security agencies. However, the medical students are associate members of NMA. There's the Nigerian Medical Association, which is the umbrella body. NAD is also an affiliate member of NMA. So the medical students are also an affiliate members of NMA. I mean, so NMA is actually on it. NMA has been actively involved in pushing for their release. We are going to have a National Executive Council meeting this week, and I'm sure that by that meeting we're going to take certain decisions with regards to this. Hopefully, this should be released before that meeting is over. If the meeting is not over, if they're not released before that time, I'm sure NMA we take a position, definitely position on it. But we are on trying to see how they can be released.
Earlier you made a comment, is in passing though. I don't know whether I got it very well, about teaching hospital. Is something happening in the teaching hospital?
Yes, our colleagues in the teaching hospital are currently on strike.
Okay.
Yes, there is the doctors from the Association of Resident Doctors, the BSUTH chapter, are on strike. They declared an indefinite strike last week because of certain issues that they've been trying to pursue with the government that have not been forthcoming. There is this wide pay disparity between the pay of the doctors in the teaching hospital and those in the federal institutions. A very wide disparity. They are on this what we call the commerce structure, salary structure, and this particular commerce salary structure has been reviewed twice for those in the federal. Why the ones the chapter is using the one of 2014? That is almost 10 years, and this is supposed to be reviewed at least after 5 years. I mean, so they have been agitating for that to be reviewed. We learned that the government was trying to see how they can do that, but it's taking too long. I mean, they've been on this matter since last year. Then the hazard allowances, they have an arrears that has been owed them, and up to now it has not been paid. So I mean, some of these things, when you keep negotiating, trying to keep speaking, and it seems like nobody's listening to you, sometimes you don't have any option but to just take the route that will bring attention. Sometimes the reason why we do strikes is very sad because it affects the ordinary person, but it looks like sometimes that's the only thing that draws attention of people to your plight. There's certain things, when you keep talking to somebody, do this, the person is just ignoring, do this, until you now do something that looks like it's drastic and it's affecting someone, they now listen to you. It's not supposed to be that like that. When you see, we are gentlemen. I mean, we shouldn't always resort to trying to pull people by the tail before they act. But unfortunately, that's what we find these days. So most times, authorities don't listen until you decide to do something that looks like it's a drastic move.
Okay. Of course, I'm not speaking for the government, but every Benue citizen and indigene is aware of the fact that this administration has been very, very particular about citizens, the welfare of citizens. So, concerning arrears, concerning this pay rise, so as to reduce the disparity between state and federal government workers, in terms as far as the medical institutions are concerned, don't you think if a little time is given to this government, something will be done, considering the fact that they just came in barely a year and a half? Something can be done for, as far as this demand is concerned.
Okay, so let me give you a perspective.
Okay.
1 year is not a little time. No, I'm coming out. 1 year is not a little time.
Okay.
The government's tenure is 4 years. So
right.
You've done up to 1/3 of your tenure. It's not a little time. But however, now the thing is,
let me
give you a perspective. The Benue State University Teaching Hospital has doctors that are being poached by other institutions. I know a lot of doctors that have left the institution to places where they have better remunerations and welfare. Now, I also know doctors that have left the institution and gone abroad. Now, what has that done? That has increased the workload for those that are on ground. Now, if this trend continues, you will eventually not have doctors in that place. I'm from the Federal Medical Center. I know a lot of my colleagues from the teaching hospital have left the teaching hospital to the Federal Medical Center because of the poor remunerations. Now, as you are leaving, the workload is increasing. The workload is increasing. Doctors are breaking down. The other day, a senior colleague collapsed and died in the theater in teaching hospital. Dr. Muye, Associate Professor Muye of blessed memory, an orthopedic surgeon. The things he does, people that can do it in the North Central, they're not plenty. He's one of the few that can do the kind of things he does in his field. He collapsed and died in the theater. We have colleagues that break down every day because of increased workload. Then we have those that are leaving. You are working in a situation where people are not happy, people are stressed, people are sad. You see your colleagues in other places, it looks like you are a second-class doctor. So this psychologically is not something that is now. But not to take away the fact that, to be sincere, the current government has actually done well in the welfare of doctors. We see their moves. The governor, His Excellency was the first person to pay the medical resident education fund to resident doctors in the whole country. His Excellency was the first person to pay. Benue doctors were the first to receive that fund. They were the first. Benue State was the first to implement the new rate because it was reviewed. It was Benue State that was the first to. We appreciate the Excellency for that. We see that his disposition to the medical profession is a good one, and we appreciate that. That is why we want him to fast track this thing so that you can keep people. Because by the time everybody leaves, you are not going to have anybody on ground again. These people some of the people that are in that teaching hospital have been there. They have been in the medical profession of Benue State for years because many of them schooled in Benue State University Teaching Hospital. They spent 12 years in school. They finished medical school and decided to work in the hospital. It shows patriotism to the state. It's not like they don't have options other places. We have options everywhere. That's the truth. But somebody decides to stay because he wants to be patriotic to his own state. It should be appreciated. And I mean, these are basic things. It's not like they're asking for something that is not their due, or they're asking for something that is arbitrary or is out of the ordinary. So I mean, these are things that we should look into. They called it a strike, and the next thing we heard that they asked them to evict their quarters. So one of our colleagues just gave birth triplets. They asked her to leave the quarters within 24 hours because she's on strike. I mean, some of these ways are not the ways that we can solve.
Okay, well, we hope that peaceful resolution will come to that end.
Okay.
The Reverend gentleman is a gentleman indeed, and I know he will win.
Time is fast spent here. Let's come back to this, kidnapped Dr. Ganiat and this medical student. Should they stay in this captivity or in the kidnapped den, beyond 26th? And how long do you think this protest, you plan on lingering on this protest if you don't get positive response, or if they are not released? Are you willing to go on this protest? Like, what's the duration you have in mind? Or will it get to a point where you will just come back and then see how internally, because what these kidnappers are asking for is ransom, and by now I'm sure maybe some of the family members of these medical students and these doctors have been contacted already for the ransom, and the families are probably looking inward to see how they can generate this. But if you don't get a positive response from the government, how long do you think this protest will last? This planned NAD protest?
Well, I'm not going to preempt the Congress, the NAD Congress, because it's the Congress that will decide how long our protest is going to last, how long the strike is going to last. And aside that, we're also going to x-ray setting. You don't take any decision in isolation. You factor in so many things. Our decisions are not taken just with one thing in mind. We really factor in our patients. We factor in what the government is doing. We factor in the mood from our own side. We look at a lot of things. So I'm not going to preempt what will happen, because as at now, I can't tell you that we're going to continue to protest for 1 year. I won't preempt that because we don't know what the circumstances determine how we react as well. But for now, we are going, like I said, by 26th of August, We already have a decision that is been taken. After we take that decision, we are going to have series of meetings, series of engagements with ourselves, with the government. That determines what happens. So it's not like we have a fixed thing in mind. Our actions will be determined by what we see, the results that we see.
Okay. You see, anytime it comes to the medical world, personally, I'm afraid. I'm afraid because I know they're important in our society. How will you relate this to this Japa syndrome that is so prevalent in the medical world? Because we have thousands of you who left this country. You just gave examples of persons that were victims of adoption. So how, because it's like the morals, if you read the papers, if you're on the social media, they say the morals of the average medical person is very low, and if he sees any place where that morale will be boosted, he will definitely relocate. So please relate this that is happening now with the Japa syndrome. Is there any hope that something will be done quickly? And doctors, because the president Bola Tinubu has said they are putting 1 or 2 bills, and of course they are working on a matter that will bring back those persons that left the shores of this country.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. Well, let me give you some few statistics. Yeah.
Okay.
According to WHO, you are supposed to have 1 doctor to 500 patients.
I thought it's 400.
500 patients.
Okay.
In Nigeria, we have 1 doctor to 4,000.
Wow.
In some cases, 1 doctor to 6,000. Look at the landmass and the coverage and the population. That's how bad it is. Now, if you look at the past SGF boss Mustafa during the COVID-19 period said he did not know that the healthcare sector in Nigeria is this bad, because that COVID-19 actually brought up a lot of things that they didn't know. The situation is pathetic, is terrible. Now, like rightly pointed out, a lot of people are leaving the country not because of financial issues, it's security. I know a lot of my colleagues, like I told you earlier, that have left the country because of security issues. There are doctors that have been kidnapped. After they were released, they left without thinking of coming back to the country. So when you have a situation where your life is not secure, there's primary essence of government is to secure life and property. You will not be comfortable working in that kind of environment. That's 1. 2, a lot of our facilities are in shambles, dilapidated structures, no equipment to work. Welfare remuneration is very poor, as I just highlighted for my colleagues just here now. So there are a lot of issues that are. Then look at the economic situation. So these are things that are making a lot of people to leave. Some of these things that are biting other people are biting us as well. When the doctor goes to the market, he does not buy food cheaper because he's a doctor. They will not say because you're a doctor now. Rather, they will even try to inflate your own price because they feel you have money. So I mean, these are practical issues that are contributing to the Japa syndrome. And I can tell you that, okay, you mentioned the issue of the president bringing up some policy to bring doctors back. I've read that policy. There is nothing there that is going to make anybody that is in abroad to come back to Nigeria. If you want to bring people back to Nigeria, it's not by doing some policy that does not really have any real substance. The people that are on ground, what have you done about their welfare? What have you done about their security? You've not done that, and you want people to start coming back to Nigeria. Who would do that? Nobody would do that now. A lot of our colleagues that are abroad, let me tell you the truth, a lot of my colleagues that are abroad, they did not go to abroad because they love abroad so much. It's condition that push many of them to go. And let me give you, look at these medical students that were kidnapped now. I can tell you that many of them, by the time they are released, the next thing that is on their mind, let me finish and leave this country. A lot of my junior colleagues where I work, up to at least 90% of them are not thinking of staying back in Nigeria. As they're finishing their housemanship, the next thing on their mind is, how can I write foreign exams and leave? Because when they see what their seniors are going through, they don't want to be like that. When we were much younger, we used to ask, when we look at our colleagues, then I was not a medical student anyway, when we see doctors, we admire them. We want to be like them. Because, but now you talk to an average doctor, and I mean, it's from one problem to the other, one complaint, no work, working conditions are difficult. So when you look at all these things, are the things that are pushing people out of the country.
We sincerely, feel the situation that condo with not, members, on these kidnapped medical students and Dr. Gania, and we sincerely hope that they return back safely. They contribute everything to show them that yes, Nigeria cares about them. This one will be a thing of the past. Thank you very much, Dr. Fanin Dogo, President Association of Resident Doctors of FMC Makudi, for finding time within your busy schedule to come on Daybreak Benue this morning.
Thank you very much.
Alright, this is where we end today's edition of Daybreak Benue. Sorry, because of wanting time, we'll not be able to bring you papers to find out stories that are making the news. But please go out there, grab the papers and read, and then lend your voice to issues, burning issues, because Nigeria at the end of the day belongs to all of us. Benue Television News will come up at 9 a.m. My name is Mercy. Bye.
I'm Steven Abba. Have a wonderful day.